Holy Ghost, Batman, by Amala Run. Chapter 14. All the Wrong Questions. Wayne Manor, Lower East Wing. Early evening. Tim had barely hung up the call before the heat hit him, tight in his chest, low in his stomach, hot behind his eyes. He didn't move, not right away. The phone still rested in his hand, his thumb pressed against the edge of the screen. If it hadn't been reinforced by design, it might have cracked. He stared down at the polished table in front of him, the dinner schedule open in a small spreadsheet on his laptop. Each line had been timed, color-coded, and double-checked. He'd even arranged contingencies for if Starfire or Mary were late, or if Bruce fell into one of his brooding silences. The night was planned, but none of that mattered now. Not compared to the sharp, acid truth of what Stephanie had just told him, and Jasmine had implied. Danny, his son, his boy, someone had done something to him. Something that led to Danny. Something buried under vague details and unspoken trauma, and Danny had spoken about it as if it were just another thing he learned to carry. Tim's knuckles whitened around the phone. He wasn't stupid. He dealt with abusers and traffickers before. Interrogated them, arrested them, tracked them across rooftops. He knew the pattern. He knew the victims, too. The words people didn't say were often louder than the ones they did. Jazz had said enough. They had both been snatched, and somehow that led to Danny. And right now, all he could think about was a name. Flat Masters. It wasn't familiar to the bad computer. Not in the files he'd scanned earlier from his computer, as soon as Steph started telling him. But it was now burned into Tim's memory like a scar. There was a weight building in him he didn't know what to do with, cold and shaking and vicious. He never wanted to hurt someone this badly, never wanted to erase someone from existence more. It was almost impressive given the number of enemies he had. And yet, he had to sit still, smile, shake hands, host a dinner where the point was healing, where Danny could meet the rest of the family in peace. Tim swallowed, forcing down the bile. That was the priority. Danny, not his own rage. For now, the door opened with a knock. Jason strode in, still wearing a shoulder holster, despite having been told repeatedly not to wear one in the Manor's formal wing. Dining room's finally prepped, he said, waving towards the hall. Dick's playing buffer with Bruce and Damien. Duke's hiding in the study. Starfire texted they will be late, but she found a nice dress so Dick won't be whining. Tim didn't answer. Jason's steps slowed. He stopped in front of the table, eyeing his younger brother. Okay, what's wrong, replacement? Did the kiddo bail after you did all his work? Tim finally looked up, eyes cold and sharp. Jason raised his hand slightly. Hey, teasing. You'll have had that whole protective dad thing going since last Tuesday. Tim didn't race to it. He simply closed his laptop, set his phone down beside it, and said, Do you know anyone who can run deep intel on a guy named Flat Masters? Jason blinked. That's not an Alice I've heard before. It's not. He's real, as far as I know, Tim said, and someone we need to know everything about. Assets, history, travel patterns, former employees, the works. Jason's teasing tone dropped instantly. This about Danny? Tim nodded once. I will explain more after dinner, but I'm going to need you to be ready, quietly. Jason studied him for a moment, and then sat in the chair across from him. You're not okay? No. Jason leaned back, crossing his arms. You want to talk about it? Jason stared at the table. Someone hurt my kid, and I don't know how badly, or how long ago, or if it's even what I think it is. Then let me ask. Jason said carefully, Is this a check the name, keep it in your back pocket situation? Or a, if he's still breathing in a week, we failed kind of thing? Tim's jaw clenched. Jason nodded slowly. Okay, I will put out feelers. There was silence between them for a few breaths, uncomfortable, but not empty. Jason stood. Dinner first, then war crimes, okay? Tim gave him the faintest trace of a smile. Thanks. Jason was halfway to the door when he paused. Hey, Tim looked up. You're not alone in this, Tim, Jason said, even if it feels like it. Tim nodded, eyes a little less frozen now. Jason left without another word. Tim sat in the silence, the ghost of the call still echoing in his mind. A new name was etched into the list of people who would pay. He wouldn't ruin Danny's night with this. Not yet. But after? After dinner, everything would change. Tim had mastered his expression by the time Dick showed up a few minutes later to apologetically confirm Starfire and Maurice were in fact going to be late. Tim sighed as Dick jovially rushed away to avoid the fallout that didn't come. The fire was all in his belly right now. Minor annoyances were just that. He still scowled as he shifted his dinner plans to fit the change. The knock on the door to Danny's luxury suite at the Drake Tower Hotel was light but deliberate. Then he glanced up from where he was sitting on the couch with Danny curled against the side, half distracted by the Gotham skyline glittering through the window. Sam beat him to the door, swinging it open to reveal a blonde woman, Stephanie, wearing a bright, disarming smile. She had indeed come back, though her eyes looked puffier than before. Hi, she said warmly, hands tucked into her pockets. You must be Danny. Then he blinked up at her, hesitant, instinctively pressing closer to Danny's side as her green eyes narrowed in cautious appraisal. Yeah. The woman stepped into the room without a hint of awkwardness. Name's Stephanie Brown. Most people call me Steph, but to you, she crouched a little to meet Danny's gaze, I'm Grandma Steph. Danny choked on air, coughing into his fist. Sam smirked. Jas, standing behind Stephanie, arched a brow in silent amusement. Danny's brow furrowed. You don't look like a grandma. Stephanie grinned. Perks of being awesome and young, and technically not the grandma kind of grandma, more like the really cool kind, who buys desserts for dinner and teaches you how to sneak extra cookies without anyone knowing. That earned her the faintest twitch of a smile from Danny, though she still glanced at Danny as if to confirm this was allowed. She's family, Danny said, with a small shrug. My bio mom. It's fine. Stephanie clasped her hands together with a playful bounce. Great, so here's my plan. You, me, and everyone else, dinner tonight. It will be fun. No serious stuff. Just good food, maybe some embarrassing stories about your dad, if I can get Jas to talk. Hey! Danny protested half-heartedly, but Jas smirked, like she'd already accepted the challenge. Danny hesitated, fidgeting with the hem of her hoodie again. Finally, she nodded. Okay. Perfect. Steph straightened up, her grin brightening. I will tell Tim. You all go change into something nice. Once Danny is ready, I will go get changed, and I will meet you in the lobby in, say, 45 minutes? Danny looked around, realizing for the first time that she was wearing her only set of clothes, or at least the only set she brought here. She held up the tattered hem out for inspection. Is it okay for me to wear this? Steph smiled widely. You're perfect as you are, baby. I will tell you what. Tonight we won't worry about it, and tomorrow we can buy you whatever you want to wear. Sound good? Danny nodded, blushing in excitement and embarrassment. Sam glanced at Danny, then Jas. Guess that's our cue. Without another word, the three of them headed to their respective rooms in the suite to change, leaving Danny in the living room with her new Grandma Steph, who was already asking if she preferred chocolate or vanilla ice cream. And that was the chapter. If you liked it, leave a like. If you like my videos in general, subscribe. And if you want to get notified, there is a bell. I You can commission me for podfics, either your own or from someone else. Just contact me over Discord. More information about that are in my channel description. And there's again a picture that the author put in the story in my yapping session, in my end part, which also I just noticed while reading this, that they said that Danny's like the daughter Danny, the clone Danny, because if maybe then I should, did I spoil it? I don't know. Because yeah, the Danny, like there's two Dannys in here, the normal Danny and like the clone Danny, and I just noticed like they said that the clone Danny had green eyes, and I mean she could have if she's like let them glow green, but otherwise she normally has blue, so it's an interesting detail, I guess. I don't know if it's my mistake or not. There's so little bits that when I have read this fan fiction the first time, that I was like, huh, that's strange. And sometimes they like come up again when I reread them. But yeah, that's for me and my yapping again. Enjoy the rest of your time, and see you next time.